What's up, everybody? I'm Katie.
And I'm Morgan.
And this is For Your Misinformation, a podcast dedicated to empowering women to become more politically engaged so we can act in our own best interest.
Let us identify the problem and tell you what we're doing and what you can do to help solve it.
Hi, everybody. I'm Katie.
And I'm Morgan.
And today we have an interview with an old coworker of ours who worked in emergency preparedness. He has been on the podcast one time before talking about what a proper coronavirus response might have looked like. And he is back. So we will introduce him in just a little bit. I did an interview with him on last Sunday. And then afterwards, Morgan and I will talk a little bit more about like what's happened since then in updates. But yeah, so we want to, I don't know, how are you doing, Morgan? What do you want to, what kind of a state are you in?
I'm like in a weird state. Like I am fully in the, I don't know what day it is. I can't get a good grasp on like how long the days are, what month it is, because it went from like good, decent spring weather to like really kind of snowy and icy to like 80 degrees. And now it's back to like windy and cold. Yeah. And that's not helping the fact that already I'm like just in my house and not having any idea what's going on. Like today I had to go pick up some things from the office. And so I got to my office.
Houseplants?
Perhaps. And so I was just like waiting outside for somebody to bring them out to me because we were not allowed to go in the building. But
oh wow.
And just like that little outing felt like such a big deal. Like I was like, ooh, I'm out of the house. Look at me.
Breaking the rules.
And then on my drive back, I stopped at a coffee shop, which still has their drive-through open. And I was like, what an adventure.
Yeah.
And then I stopped and bought some more plants.
What? Where can you
buy plants? I also didn't have to come
into
contact with anyone. Like a co-op has that kind of stuff still. Yeah, because I just needed some little joy. But yeah, it was a serious adventure, and the first time I have driven my car in like a month.
Yeah. Are you like exhausted?
Yeah, a little bit. Like I got back and was like, man, I am ready to like hang up for the day. And it was maybe like 9:30 in the morning. I was like, oh man.
Yeah. Oops.
Yeah. How are you doing?
I'm okay. I'm having like a weird day today, kind of. I don't know why. Yeah, I mean, like everything's fine, like all things considered for sure. But I have an idea for a new segment that I want to tell you about that I'm excited about.
Ooh, let's do it.
Okay. The name can be up for debate. It doesn't bother me. But I've been calling it Asshole of the Week. And basically, I think it's probably smart to start off episodes with just a description of like one of the characters that we're going to be talking about later. Just so that you get an idea of like how shitty they are. And there's an abundance of them, of course. Like we're never going to run out of shitty, shady government characters. But the one I want to talk about this week is Jared Kushner. And the reason why, he's perfect. He's the perfect nominee for like the first inaugural Asshole of the Week. But if you don't know who that is, it's Ivanka Trump's husband, Donald Trump's, I was going to say only daughter. It's not his only daughter. He has another daughter named Tiffany, but nobody knows about her. But anyway, his favorite daughter, Ivanka's husband. And I've been thinking about the assholes of the week on this continuum that I think is going to be helpful, which like starts with like Hitler, like way over on the left, and then like goes all the way up to like perfect human, like can hardly believe that this person exists in mortal form, Chris Evans, all the way on the other side.
I love that. And I am so happy that I get to walk the earth at the same time as Chris Evans.
We are not worthy.
Yeah. I mean, there's lots of other people like that too.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
But there's also lots of other Hitlers out there. So.
Yeah. Well, so my main thesis is that all of our shitty exes think that they're on the Chris Evans side of the continuum, but they're way closer to the Hitler side of the continuum, and they don't realize it, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
Does that sound right?
Yeah. Oh, that sounds exactly right. Because but I think like by putting Hitler at the far end of the continuum, we're not saying everything bad that happens is literally the Holocaust, because it's not. We get it.
Yeah.
But what we are saying is there are just like these giant asshole people out there who are so convinced they are doing the right thing.
Yeah. And also we should, I guess I don't want to speak for you, but I should have drawn the line way closer to the Chris Evans side way sooner. Like I just like set my bar way too low because I think I was like convinced that the Jared Kushners of the world were closer to the Chris Evans side than the Hitler side, but it's like, oh, no.
Yeah, I thought I would be better at spotting it.
Yes.
And now that I'm a little older, I'm like, oh my goodness. How did I not see those red flags? Because I was 22 and super dumb.
Yes. Yeah. And naive. It's not even dumb. It's just why would you even think that somebody would be like that? It's sad.
Exactly. It's just naive. Why would anyone be so evil?
Yeah. But I am I think exceptional at spotting it now. And I can spot it quickly now. So I don't know. I just whatever. I'm grateful for it. This radar that I feel like I have for shitty men.
I mean, you can even look at Jared Kushner and you're like, okay, if instead of a slumlord and just a general rich guy, you decided to be an actor, you would immediately be typecast as the villain in every single thing that you were in,
be in Slytherin for sure.
Hardcore have that vibe.
Yes. Yeah, slimy. Yeah. So, okay, so just for more context, I would argue, and definitely this is up for debate. Anybody can write in and give us your feedback on this continuum. I would say Luke P from The Bachelor is way closer to the Hitler side, and then you've got Tom Hanks way over by the Chris Evans side, and John Legend belongs over there. He's a good guy. Who else would be over on the Hitler side? I mean, definitely Trump, Paul Manafort, Roger Stone, Bill Barr, Bill Clinton, probably. Yeah.
Mike Pence.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. And all of our exes fall somewhere on that continuum, and so do all the other shitty men in Congress. So I think it would be helpful moving forward. And I've been thinking of Stanley from The Office at true neutral, right in the middle, not really doing anything nefarious, but also really not doing anything super helpful. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate.
I'm willing to hear any other arguments, but that's what I'm working with so far. And I'm kind of excited to create this continuum. I almost want to actually put it on my wall somewhere, and, change them around, and
that would be great.
What else do I have to do?
It's true. And there are women on the
asshole
side of the continuum too. So we are not being selective with this.
No. And who the person you're going to talk about today who could be a contender for asshole of the week is a woman, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Okay. Well, I'll go first, and I'll tell you about Jared Kushner and why he is my pick for asshole of the week. Okay. So let's see. like I said, he's Donald Trump's son-in-law. And he ended up in the White House as a senior advisor to President Trump. And his qualifications for that are that he married Ivanka. Like, that's it. That's the whole thing. Like, he has no experience in government or anything that he deals with. What he does have experience in is real estate, kind of. He's 39. His dad has always been involved in real estate. He actually went to prison for tax evasion, so the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And his dad paid $2.5 million to Harvard to get him enrolled. So, a little entitled, you could say.
Yeah, a little bit.
So you're starting to like get an idea. You maybe have an idea of this person in your head. He spent his entire career working for his father and his father-in-law. As a real estate developer, he was primarily known for overpaying for an office building located at 666 Fifth Avenue, and
because of course,
which he ended up losing money on big time, and for buying and then subsequently destroying the New York Observer, which was like a newspaper that was like quirky and people liked it, and he just like destroyed it. So he arrived at the White House with no obvious qualifications and a ton of conflict of interest because so many conflicts of interest that he did not qualify for a security clearance until Trump overrode the concerns of like career professionals who were like, no, this guy shouldn't have a security clearance.
Okay, I'm not going to actually scream into the mic because I love our listeners. However, just know that I am internally screaming right now.
Yeah.
Why the fuck?
Yeah. So this should have been like a red flag way back. This was years ago. When he got this security clearance. Like, this should have been a red flag way back then, that we were like succumbing to authoritarian, like getting more comfortable with authoritarian rule. Like, a president should not be able to like bully somebody into giving a security clearance to a relative of his. Like, it's bananas, and it's a little bit our fault for not paying attention.
Okay, remember when people were super, super mad that Michelle Obama's mother moved into the White House with them?
Actually, I do not.
Oh, yeah. People were really mad about that. Like, conservatives were like, nepotism. I'm like, she's living in the house with them because she's the grandmother who is very close with her grandchildren and, like, is helping so that they don't have to be
going to, like, national security briefings? Because that's what Jared's doing.
Yeah. And, like, what? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we got some hypocrites. Okay. That's a very Kevin-like trait for sure. So yeah, but that fact that he didn't even qualify for a security clearance has not prevented him from taking on a very broad portfolio that, like, I get anxiety even looking at, but like I'm sure he can handle with all of his experience in real estate. But his portfolio of what he's working on right now includes brokering peace in the Middle East, which by itself is an incredible task. Obviously, nobody's figured that out yet. Nobody's cracked that case.
I think they just gave him that because they were like, well, what is something we can give you that's actually safe? You know what? Go solve peace in the Middle East. And then he'll just sit there like staring at a map for a while and whatever. He can just talk to some rich people.
He said he read 25, but actually I'll tell you later. I'll tell you later. I have thoughts about it. So that, building a border wall, 3, reforming the criminal justice system, just tack that on there. Why not? Pursuing diplomacy with China and Mexico, and creating an Office of American Innovation dedicated to revamping how the government works. So they put this like bratty dilettante in charge of creating the Office of American Innovation. It is infuriating. Like, I just can't even imagine. I mean, we worked in an organization where like somebody came in who we really didn't like agree with most of. I don't know. I just can't even imagine that person being Jared Kushner, having to do what he says or listen to him. Okay. Oh, and he is also in charge of the president's 2020 re-election campaign, overseeing fundraising, strategy, and advertising. So he's got a lot on his plate, but don't worry, he's a genius. And he works super hard. So a senior White House official told Time that Kushner has a habit of coming in at the last minute to claim credit for others' success while flitting away if disaster looms. Do you hate this guy yet?
I mean, I hated this guy before, but that really nail in the coffin right there. Can you imagine people that were like on projects with him in college?
Yeah. He definitely did not do like any of the work. But he got lots of the credit.
Yeah,
for sure. So yeah, whatever this is still the quote from a senior White House official. Whatever he does, Kushner brings endless, unearned self-confidence to the task. Okay, close your eyes. Think about your worst ex-boyfriend. Doesn't endless, unearned confidence like embody like everything about them?
Yeah. Yep, pretty much. And it's like fake confidence too.
Yeah. Oh, good point.
Like deep down,
yes,
he knows
insecurity.
Like I suck at everything.
Oh my God, you're right. Oh my God, you're so wise.
Yep.
I still remember. We'll probably talk about this like in full a different time, but I still remember like the day that I realized like just how fucked up the patriarchy was. I was like 27 and I think you were probably like 25 at the time, and I like came to work the next day and I'm pretty sure I was just like, hey, hold on a minute, I realized something yesterday. Is the world really this fucked up? And you were like, oh yeah, no, yeah, it definitely is. It's like, okay, cool, that's really depressing. But it's probably what gave way to the birth of this podcast a year ago. Who knows?
Yeah, it definitely like helped spur it along, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this unearned confidence applies to his unlikely role as a Middle East peacemaker. Speaking to a room of Middle East experts, Kushner was boldly dismissive of the concept of expertise and asked about his definition of success and the potential implications of failure. He brushed it off as a Washington question.
What does that mean?
It means he doesn't know the answer. But he bragged to that room full of experts about how he read 25 books on Middle East peace, drafted up an 181-page plan without consulting anybody else, and which the Palestinians dismissed immediately after it was released. They were just like, the fuck is this? Like, no. And then got rid of it. Like, it was just a huge waste of time and money.
Okay, why not, like, hire the experts who wrote those books on Middle East peace?
That's a great fucking question, because these people are, like, they view experts with disdain. Like, they truly, like, people who have narcissistic tendencies, like, really think they know best. And, like, that's what they've been told their whole, like, why would Jared Kushner doubt that? Like, none of his life experiences have told him that he's not, like, awesome. But, like, it's because, like, his dad bought it all for him.
Oh my God.
So yeah. So basically he has a lifetime of being handed things without earning them, which is exactly how most Kevins are made. So later on in the interview, when I am talking to Steve, our former emergency preparedness coworker, and we talk about Jared Kushner, keep in mind that like that's who we're talking about and that's why we're so pissed. But what did you want to talk about today? What has been bothering you this week?
Well, Trump has another new press secretary this week. Yes. So Kayleigh McEnany replaced Stephanie Grisham, who had the job for 9 months, but never gave any press briefings.
Oh, okay. So that's why that doesn't sound familiar.
Yeah. Did anyone know that she existed? No.
She didn't even do her job one time?
Nope. Not even once.
That's, sounds like an efficient use of our taxpayer dollars.
Look, not even once is perfectly acceptable if we're talking about trying meth, but it is not acceptable when we're talking about the White House press secretary.
Isn't that a real campaign?
Oh, yeah, it is exactly a real campaign.
Well,
yeah.
I mean.
So anyway, this Kayleigh chick likely won't give any actual press briefings either, though, because Trump wants to be the star of his own reality show that has become the presidency. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not great. But Kayleigh is like a total sycophant, though. So, like, no matter what comes out of her mouth or when, don't expect it to necessarily be truthful. Mm-hmm. She's most likely going to be spending her time on like going on like Fox News or something, just trying to explain and then put some kind of positive, sane person spin on whatever nonsense has just come out of Trump's mouth at his press briefings,
gaslighting,
aka rallies.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's the official White House gaslighter. She has been in the Trump circle for quite some time. So like she's been there for several years, defending him vehemently on CNN, and like attending his rallies. And when I say she's defending him vehemently, she is like gaga for this creepy dude. And she like just the stuff that comes out of her mouth to defend him is not factual. And she's one of the ones that's just like, well, no, this is what he meant. Mm-hmm. And you're like, no, that's absolutely not what he meant. And I know that, but okay. And so she's probably just going to keep doing that. She's also casually racist. So that's, cool. And so, so she's definitely evil. What's new? And jury's still out, though, on if she's evil and stupid or evil or stupid. Apparently, she is a graduate of Harvard Law. But like she also said just like a matter of weeks ago that the coronavirus will never come to this country. And like it already was here when she said that. Like people already were sick. So it was like so I'm like, I don't know if that's just her being naive or cognitively dissonant or just trying to like invent her own reality, or if she's just dumb. I don't know. Things aren't looking good for Kayleigh, though, in terms of like being a respectable person or making it to the good side of our asshole continuum.
Yeah, she'd have to come over to the good side and like interrupt a press briefing or something. I don't know. Maybe she could be like this administration's version of Deep Throat.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not hopeful.
Yeah, no, I don't even know. Why am I even getting my hopes up? I'm so tired of getting my hopes up. It's exhausting.
Yeah, don't get your hopes up for any of these people anymore. Yeah, but she's like she went on CNN and even said something at one point about like, wow, when this was happening, Obama was playing golf. And it was like in 2002. And I'm like, yeah, Obama was not president then.
Sure wasn't.
So I don't know why that's relevant, but on that day I was probably at school. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Is that a problem?
Yeah.
She's bad news, but
for sure.
Who's not?
She's just another bad news story in a bunch of bad news stories about Trump's press secretaries who really, I mean, this should have been another red light or red flag a long time ago that they stopped doing daily White House press briefings. So that's another thing that authoritarians, they don't like to be held accountable to the press.
Yeah, exactly. Trump is awful to the press.
Yeah.
And sees them as the enemy. And like, you know who else sees the press as the enemy? Like dictators.
Sure do.
Like Hitler? I don't know.
Putin?
Yeah. pretty much all of them always.
Yeah, Netanyahu for sure. Yeah, Bolsonaro. All of them.
Yeah,
it's
seriously.
It's an easy playbook. You
Stalin.
you don't have to be like a genius. I mean, you just have to not have any like values. You don't have to be smart. You just have to be like corrupt.
Yeah, and like such a narcissist that it doesn't even occur to you could be wrong.
Yeah, or hurting other people, or just not bothering to care.
Yeah, you just don't care.
So yeah. Woohoo. So yeah, okay. With those couple things in mind, here is my interview last Sunday with the emergency preparedness coordinator and specialist on our show. So here you go. Hi everybody, it's Katie, and we are joined with the podcast's senior emergency preparedness responder, Steve. Again, he's back. Hi, Steve. How are you doing?
I'm good, Katie. Thank you for having me back.
I thank you for agreeing to come back. I think so. We recorded that episode 3 weeks ago today, exactly. Actually,
Yep.
I went back and I listened to it today just to get like an idea of what was going on 3 weeks ago. And I feel like I need to apologize because I think when we recorded that, it was like the day after I realized how shitty everything was about to get.
Yeah.
So I was like real heated and I was mad because I was like seeing all the possibilities that we had to like cut it off and like that never happened and all of this like senseless suffering is about to happen. I was really mad. So I talked a lot and I was really mad and I feel like I cut you off a bunch. So actually listening to it did make me a little heated again, but I think I have like since calmed down.
No. Katie, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's your show, and whatever bits I can offer to help, I absolutely will. But I definitely defer to you.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks. Okay, but I really like this stuff, which I don't know. Do you think that's rare? Do you think like most people look at emergency preparedness and that it's like a an chore to them?
See, it's kind of, emergency preparedness is kind of weird because like, I guess to specifically answer that, I think a lot of people like emergency preparedness. I'm not sure if many people like public health emergency preparedness because it seems, it's not the same as being a firefighter or a law enforcement officer. And I've actually had people with whom I've worked because in public health emergency preparedness, thankfully, we don't get big public health emergencies very often because they are very costly, affects millions of lives. But I've had people, since they don't happen very often, ask me like, well, what do you do anyways? Because we're not in the middle of a public health emergency all the time. Yeah. So it can unfortunately, while it's not as sexy as being a firefighter or a police officer, it is a very important, it's a very important role to fill for events like this, like for COVID-19.
For sure. I mean, that's why I liked it. I mean, that I always thought it was like really interesting. I looked forward to my emergency preparedness trainings that I had to go to, but I just wondered if other people felt the same way. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. Okay, so Morgan and I have started giving a context of what's going on in case people don't want to watch Trump's press briefings or pay attention to a whole bunch of COVID news. We're trying to give them exactly what they need to know, nothing more, nothing, but without leaving anything out, but being transparent because we're not getting any transparency from the federal government at this point. Which is the same thing that people are complaining about happening in China, they're saying oh, that death number can't be right. Like those numbers those must be wrong. Like authoritarian governments do that. Like there's no transparency in our government right now either. So that's and it's a bad sign.
Yeah. Sorry, Katie. And no, it's very dangerous because it is a global pandemic and people need to take steps that they need to take it seriously and they need leadership to acknowledge how serious of an event it is. And it's dangerous. You're dealing with people's lives when you minimize it or you delay the response and so it's just irresponsible to not acknowledge what's really going on.
Yeah. So it's about 7:30 p.m. on Sunday, April 5th. At this point, according to the most updated numbers, there have been 9,610 COVID-19 deaths in America. And I've been getting like periodic updates from Dr. Sam. She said that her hospital is predicting that they will reach maximum capacity April 24th. So that's one of the hospitals in Chicago's prediction. And if you haven't started yet, it is time to start wearing face coverings out of your house. So there's a video on my Instagram, and we'll post it on the For Your Misinformation Instagram that shows you how to make a face mask and like what to do and what not to do and that kind of stuff on Instagram. So when you leave your house now, it's time to start wearing a face covering. And is there anything else you wanted to add, Steve?
No, you're absolutely right, Katie, that it is the time to start wearing masks pretty much if you go out in public at all. And just the one thing, I guess, related to that, if it's okay to kind of mention this. Yeah, for sure. It's not N95s people should wear. Right. An N95, and you and Morgan may have you guys covered what those are?
Honestly, we probably haven't.
Okay. An N95 respirator, because I know people have seen all types of masks out there.
Yeah.
An N95 respirator, that's something that a medical provider would wear, and that protects the wearer, and it blocks about 95% of the particles in the air.
Yeah.
And so if you are dealing directly with somebody with COVID-19, that's the type of level of protection you need.
Yeah.
When they're advising people to wear masks in public, it's cloth masks, it's surgical masks, procedure masks. Those are to keep you from, like when you exhale or you cough or you sneeze, that's to keep all of your germs from getting on it to everybody else. Yeah. And so I guess I just mentioned that for two reasons. One, if you care about the rest of the people around you, or even strangers at the grocery store, at the gas station, you wear a mask in public to protect them.
Yeah.
And hopefully they're wearing one to protect you.
Right.
And the second thing is, it also doesn't mean you drop social distancing, you drop washing your hands, you drop all the measures you're taking, because a mask in public it's not going to protect you. You can't, everybody can't start wearing cloth masks and then start going to the movie theater again, right, or going to church again. It isn't that level of protection.
Yeah. It's something that you now do in addition to the rigorous hand washing and social distancing. Yes. I think you'll be proud of me because I mentioned both of those things in my Instagram video when I showed you. Yeah. Okay. So just goes to show I pay attention to my emergency preparedness stuff.
And I am very, by the way.
Thank you. So yeah, it's something you do in addition. And also it's important that the mask be comfortable, because if you touch it in public to adjust it or itch something or whatever, you are now defeating the purpose of wearing it. So yeah, that's something that I hadn't really considered before, but it has to be comfortable because you can't touch your face. So
yeah. And you mentioned this a couple of episodes ago, Katie, and it's something I need to remind myself of also, that when you're wearing a mask, you're just more inclined to touch your face, because you can't. And so we have this tendency to do things we're not supposed to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have to remind yourself, as you said, don't adjust it. Don't be touching your face more often. Because I mean, because COVID-19, if you touch your eyes, you know, your nose and your mouth are covered. If you touch your eyes, you can also get COVID-19 that way. So you have to be very, very careful.
Yeah. Okay. I think last COVID, well, I mean, honestly, no, not last COVID, but like last update that I was going to address is that I've heard a lot of people say like, what's going on? Like they're telling us, at one point they told us no masks. Now they're telling us masks. And that is not really something to be concerned by. We update based on information and data that we have. So so the reason that now they're having people wear masks is because they think up to 25% of the people who have COVID-19 are asymptomatic and spreading it. So if 1 in 4 people that has it doesn't even know they have it, like everybody needs to be wearing masks just in case they have it. So it's not such a big deal that they're changing protocol and guidelines because it's just the more information we have, the better we get at protecting ourselves. And if you have like one of the masks, like a N95 mask, like you mentioned, that you need to get that to a healthcare worker, like figure out like a local hospital that you can donate it to. It's not like you might have to like fill out a form and do some like donation stuff, but like it's worth it to get those to the people who really need it. Because if you're, like you said, if you're coming in contact with a lot of people over the course of an entire shift versus just going in and out of the grocery store, like they're the ones who need 95% of those particles to be blocked.
Right. No, exactly. Like, I mean, no one should get sick, but those people who care for us when we get sick, they need to be protected, because if they get sick, then we're in a bad. Yeah. Who's gonna
take care of us?
Exactly.
But we should also just care about them as humans, because they are too. Okay. So, like I said, we last spoke 3 weeks ago on March 15th. Is there anything that's made you like particularly mad since then?
I think, well, I guess I can't, without identifying like a single thing that's happened. It's a lot of great things have happened over it's been a very trying 3 weeks. Actually, to be honest, like it feels like it's been 3 months since I talked to you.
Yeah.
So much has happened. There have been a lot of great things. A lot of people have come forward, like all the people making masks, the people that are organizing volunteers to deliver food to vulnerable populations, the people observing, the social distancing measures. And so I try to focus more on that than I do the incidents of greed and selfishness.
Yeah. Okay. That's really nice. No, like that's a way better way of moving through the world. I guess it's just like not the way I've been moving through the world. But yeah, no, that is really nice. I agree that there are a lot of like bright spots. I mean, it's a lot. I would say like baseline pretty sad right now, but like there are some bright spots, seeing people like just figuring shit out, like how they can help. You know, I don't know. It's nice to see. Okay. Can I tell you the 2 things that have like, I think bothered me the most since we last spoke? Okay. I've been talking a lot of shit about Jared Kushner lately. I don't see that stopping anytime soon. He is just completely like the epitome of just failing forward. Like I don't know, he was just born on third base and thought he hit a triple, whatever. So he's now, there are reports that he has like some kind of like shadow task force working on like shit like in like the back channels and like people. So this guy is now like in charge of like Middle East peace. He doesn't know shit about that. He used to he used to, I mean, he's Jewish, but like he used to he had something to do with real estate, and he wasn't even good at that. He wasn't even like so he's not like, it's just, it's so insane to me that people are like, yeah, let's put the president's son-in-law in charge of like, he doesn't need to worry about Middle East peace right now or any of those 5 other things he has in his portfolio. He can just focus on emergency preparedness because he knows all about pandemic responses. So it's just like, it's weird watching. It's like children playing house, or like, it's just like weird.
Yeah, ideally, and I remember last time we spoke, we talked about incident command and that the most qualified person should be in charge of the overall response or certain elements of the response. And so I guess that would be on the side of what has been disappointing is having the wrong people in leadership positions.
Yeah. And then the other thing that we talked like specifically about is so there was a plan started under Obama, because like we talked about last time, like there is always going to be another pandemic, so there's plans in place to handle or try to handle that as best as possible. So plans created in the Obama administration about like mask readiness. Do you know what I'm trying? Do you want to try to explain it, or do you want me to like read a little blurb about it?
You mean about the strategic national stockpile in general, or about like the claim that Obama didn't replenish it?
No, oh no, I know that's bullshit. The claim, Jared they didn't renew. I can find it. Let me find it and I'll read it to you, so I don't.
Okay.
I just sound silly. Okay. The federal government had invested millions of dollars in 2 ventures to ramp up mask readiness in preparation for this exact situation, and Trump just abandoned them. In 2018, the Trump administration received detailed plans, which began under the Obama administration, for a machine that could churn out millions of masks at high speed during a pandemic. The Department of Health and Human Services did not build the machine. Similarly, an effort to develop a reusable mask went nowhere, even as medical experts had emphasized the importance of them for at least 14 years. Neither of those ventures produced a single mask, so here we are with Alabama receiving 5,880 unusable ones from the federal stockpile. So, I don't know, that's the like summary of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not familiar with the specifics of like either of those programs. I just, in general, like the federal government, and I promise I'm going somewhere when I go this route.
I'm listening.
Related to that, and you mentioned Jared Kushner. I personally found it offensive how he described the strategic national stockpile, which all of those masks, all those programs you referenced would go into the SNS. And because the role of the SNS, like basically every disaster begins and ends locally. It's the local health department, it's the sheriff's office, it's a fire department. Every disaster is going to begin and end with them. The role of the federal government is to put things in place ahead of time so that when we have this big emergency that overwhelms local resources, we can reach out to the state. And if they are overwhelmed, they reach out to the federal government. And so I guess the two things to reference what you read, Katie, and then what really annoyed me about what Kushner said, is one, if the federal government is in position, because the pandemic, and I know people say this all the time, but it's obviously a reality. It was never if one would happen. It was just when.
Yeah.
You know, it could have been now. It is now. It could have been 20 years from now. It can still be 20 years from now. So the federal government, their job is to put things in place in the event that we will need it. Yeah. And then the SNS is is a resource like the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, Department of Health and Human Services, ASPR, the SNS. Those are all federal resources meant to support local response. Mm-hmm. And so the suggestion that the SNS is quote unquote ours, mm-hmm. meaning the federal government's, and that they can, that they can kind of decide whether or not to support local responses is kind of ludicrous.
Yeah. Because what the fuck else would it be for?
Right. It is specifically intended because if you're in Ohio, Nevada, Texas, Illinois, that's where the battles are being fought. Mm-hmm. And anyway, so it personally annoyed me. Like if they drop the ball on because obviously masks are of vital importance. I mean, you're seeing it all across the nation now. Our medical providers, they're doing an amazing job. I mean, they're going above and beyond. Mm-hmm. It would be nice to support them with the level of protection they need. Yeah. All of our first responders out there, people who every day risk their lives or help those who need help at that time, to just offer them that basic protection so they can go home to their families.
Yeah, what they need to do their job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a tragedy that if things were, for whatever reason that they had, if there were steps that could have been taken to have a supply to support this response and it wasn't taken, it's just sad.
Yeah. It happens like, I don't know. I know this is drilled into like everybody who has studied public health's head, but like when it goes well, nothing happens. And when it fails, it's a big deal. So, but like because of that, people like to defund public health. Right. Because it doesn't seem like an issue, like with smoking. Right. I mean, like I could see on a local level what happened when the state cut funding for like smoking cessation programs or anti-smoking. Like smoking rates went back up. Like it's not like rocket science. So when you defund stuff like it clearly, this pandemic preparedness was just not a priority to the Trump administration. I would argue that that's because, I mean, it's a lot of reasons, but there are a lot of like senior officials that knew stuff that were like career officials who could actually have like done some good surrounding this, who just left, like, I mean, either resigned in protest or were fired or whatever. Right. And those roles were just like never filled. And if they were filled with like somebody like Jared Kushner, just like who is not in any way prepared to handle something like this. Right. So that, like, I read that little blurb and it's like, oh, well, it's just like such a bummer that these plans were in place, and because they weren't a priority, like now it sounds like millions of healthcare workers are without proper protective equipment, So I don't know. I mean, just obviously we would all be better off if there was more proper protective equipment, personal protective equipment. But that is what like Republicans are doing to like every aspect of government. Like they're defunding all the like social services, and then they're saying like, look, this doesn't work. And it's rude.
Well, like you said, public health, I think of it as kind of like a referee in football, to where if they're doing their job, you don't even notice them. To where they're not. So I guess, I don't know if that's a fair comparison, but, public health's job is to prevent that person, even outside of a pandemic, is to prevent that person from getting obesity. Or from making it to the emergency room, or to prevent lung cancer. So if we're doing our job, notices.
Right.
Just when you defund it, like you said, Katie, and all the numbers go back up, is when, in hindsight, like, oh yeah, public health was doing this thing.
Yeah.
You took the money away.
I have been thinking, so I guess it's probably too soon to say, but I feel like I turned a corner last night, kind of, because I know that there's a bunch of terrible shit coming. Like, I know that, I mean, 9,000 of a predicted 100,000 people are going to die or more. But like, I mean, those numbers could possibly change, but like, that's the most updated numbers that we have to work with now. And I haven't seen anything to indicate that it might be lower than that. So, I know it's about to get a lot worse, but I think like what this crisis is doing is it's highlighting a lot of the other, like, it's making everything that was already a problem worse. So it makes me feel like we're never going to go back to that. Like, and we shouldn't. Like, we should not go back to normal where like we know how to build a society where people can be healthier. So I guess it was just like, I've started looking at it like, oh, well, I mean, this fucking sucks, but if we're gonna like look at some kind of silver lining, like we have a really cool opportunity to build like a really equitable future now, because like, I mean, like, why wouldn't this would be the perfect time to institute a Green New Deal? Like, we have to figure out how to get people back to work. Like, why wouldn't they be in green sectors? Otherwise, we're just ruining, like, yeah, it's just this pandemic or climate change is just as big of a deal as this pandemic. It's just like moving in slow motion. So I don't know. So that was a positive thought, right?
It is. No, I'm very proud of you again, Kate. It's a very positive thought. It's like silver lining.
Thank you. Have you been watching Trump's press briefings?
I need to be honest with you, Katie. I never watch Trump press briefings because I don't get anything out of it. It's just like I want the experts I want to listen to the experts, people who know what they're talking about in terms of what are the best things to do in response to this pandemic. And I personally just have no confidence I hear anything of value from those. I don't even waste my time.
I almost never watch them for the same reasons. I mean, and I don't like making myself mad. I mean, I try to avoid it. Yes. But every once in a while I do tune in just to get a sense of what he's talking about so that I know what to say to be like, okay, that was bullshit. That was bullshit. That was bullshit. He made that up because he's a narcissist. He like, but it's so hard because there's so much you get like, so I was doing it. I was watching it on like a little bit before we jumped on this call. And it was just like making me really mad. And like the reporters, the journalists are all focusing on this lupus drug that he's talking about. And they're all there, but they're treating it like they legitimize it by talking about it. And he just, it's just, I mean, I don't know how to fix it. I don't know.
No, I know. And I know like, I have an opinion of him generally. But it's just we're in the middle of, I mean, I know I've said it like 3 times, but a pandemic. I mean, this is a global public health emergency. And I don't know, I just want, at the end of every day where, you know, we are putting out these fires within our local jurisdictions and trying to convince people to take the right approach and that we understand what's going on. We're going to help. I just want straightforward leadership. You know, I just don't want to give people false hope and medicines that may or may not work. You know, because I guess my opinion is you can mention things that are being tested to see if it's going to work, but just the way in which it's presented is like, this is
to be honest and realistic. They like drill that into your head when you take like public information officer classes. Like, I mean, I know we talked about this last time, but yeah, what people need right now is transparency and like leadership, but false hope is not I mean, I know that like it's what he wants to, he only wants to tell people what they want to hear. Like
Yeah.
so he only like, there's not a lot of good news to give out right now. So he like basically has to like make stuff up, and it's really irresponsible. But like the answer to all of the journalists' questions is like, well, because he's a narcissist and we accidentally elected him our president, and now we're like suffering all the consequences.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I wish they would stop showing them. I've been pleasantly surprised by Andrew Cuomo. Like he's been nice to watch. Do you watch those press briefings?
I've seen a couple.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't caught many, but no, I appreciate it probably more now than I ever thought I would before,
Mm-hmm.
when we had actual leaders. But I appreciate even more so now people who are leaders, who are well spoken. Because you reference public information officer. One of the things that they teach you in when you're training to be one of those is that it's okay to say I don't know.
Yeah. Yes, and you should. Like that.
Right.
That gives you credibility.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the leaders out there that are kind of, it feels like they're in it with us, that this is the situation we see now. It's forecasted to get worse, but we don't know what's going to happen. And, that means so much more to me than a leader that's just going to throw out, every long shot medicine that may or may not work, or that there are tens of thousands of ventilators on their way to the States, or there's millions of N95. Like, it doesn't help anybody, because if anything, that just gives people that false sense of hope that it's not as bad as we think it is.
Yeah. But people can handle a lot, but they deserve the truth. Yeah. And if they just keep getting their hopes up over stuff like that, they're going to get their heart broken a lot, like over and over. I feel like I interrupted you? I feel like you weren't done.
No, I was actually done.
Okay. Last time we talked, you mentioned that they were doing like sentinel testing. Have you heard any more about that?
Actually, I haven't. I mean, because in my jurisdiction, to be honest, like all focus has been on with the cases exploding, and we've been working with first responders to get testing sites set up, and I actually haven't heard like how the sentinel reporting is going, but I think just because that's like testing asymptomatic and trying to get that, kind of trying to narrow down exactly how prevalent is it.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's just kind of taken care of with the skyrocketing cases everywhere.
Yeah, that makes sense. And probably also with that updated number of asymptomatic people that we know about. Yeah. So that's probably where that came from, I guess. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. And I just don't know much more about it.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. And so like those are, I don't know. I guess just, you can really tell like who the leaders are right now, that, and man, it's scary to watch the ones that aren't. And it's also scary, like, so Morgan lives in Iowa. I live in Illinois. They share a pretty big chunk of a border.
Right.
And she has a Republican governor who just is like asking them to come back to work soon. Like, I can't remember exactly what day. And I actually haven't even really talked to Morgan about this much, but like, she's not taking, like, Governor Pritzker in Illinois is taking it very seriously.
Yes.
He has, I feel like, really stepped up to the plate. I feel very grateful that he is our governor. But we're basically only as safe as the next state over, and I forget Morgan's governor's name, but she better get her shit together because like she's endangering people in Illinois and everywhere else around her. So I don't know, that's disappointing too, I guess.
Yeah. No, I've been specific to Governor Pritzker. I have been very impressed by what he's been doing. I mean, I think he's one of those people that I was thinking about that is showing real leadership, seems to be honest with the residents of Illinois regarding what situation we're in, what steps need to be taken. And so though governors like that across the nation, I'm glad that they are out there to hopefully, I mean, every governor should be taking the same steps, but there will be those that for whatever reason don't take it as seriously. And you just hope that that's a smaller number than the ones that are being real leaders like Pritzker is.
Yeah. And I would also argue, take note of like your local elected officials who are or are not taking this seriously. And if they are not taking it seriously, vote them out in November, because that's like all the, like, they work for us. So if they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, it's our responsibility to vote them out because we deserve better.
Right. And this is all science based. Like there's nothing to dispute. Like the COVID is a real thing. And so if I agree with you, Katie, if your local state leaders are not taking this as serious as they should, then in my mind, it really, I really just question their decision making.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. Yeah. Is like, they shouldn't be in charge of anything because they're not good at looking at data and figuring out what it means in like applied real life.
Right.
So they shouldn't be in charge of anything at all.
Yep. That's the litmus test right there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have been feeling this way about climate change. So, and it's just, and Morgan and I talk about it a lot in terms of noticing patterns in our shitty ex-boyfriends, but like notice patterns within the Republican Party is like climate change has been clear. I mean, I was an environmental science major in undergrad, and I switched, like I went to grad school for public health because I was so like defeated about the state of the environment. Like it was clear to me that nothing was going to happen until there was like a monetary incentive for that to happen. Like we're not taking into account health or other measures of well-being, I guess. So yeah, I like, it was depressed about it. I mean, whatever. But so I felt like anybody who couldn't recognize that climate change was an immediate, like has been an immediate threat, like they are also not good at leadership or being in charge of stuff. And it's almost the entire Republican Party that won't acknowledge it. And even if they do acknowledge it, their party is continuing to not pass any policies about it. Right. And actually like is eliminating policies that are making like cleaner air, cleaner water, whatever. So yeah, when people are like, I don't know, I wonder if I'm like, I understand that I'm like preaching to the choir, I guess. I guess I'm just like hoping to give people tools to like combat things that they hear when people push back. Because like this shit's all stuff that I heard from my ex-boyfriends that was like, well, I don't know. It's like, we do know, but we do know. We know. There's not like alternative facts. Like these are just facts.
Right. So. No, I agree with you, Katie. And I mean, I guess the way I can say the way I approach my leaders is that if they just refuse to at least publicly accept scientific fact, they're either incompetent and they actually don't know like that what is right in front of them, or I just question their motives. Yeah,
they they probably are corrupt, essentially. Is like somebody has bought them off. Either you're right, those are the two options. Are either they're too stupid. This is what Morgan and I don't know if we've talked about it on the podcast yet, but if we've been texting about it, is like there's a continuum from like stupid to evil, and like you fall somewhere on that continuum.
Right.
So, but, or some people do. I guess not everybody does, hopefully. But like, as far as I'm concerned right now, all of the Republicans in Congress fall somewhere on the stupid to evil continuum. But most of them are much closer to the evil continuum, like they're just based on how much money they're getting from the like oil and gas companies and the NRA and all that stuff. So, and that is all due to our fucked up campaign finance laws, which we'll have to do an episode on in the future. But yeah, you're right. Either if you created like a flow chart, it would start at like Republican not voting for climate change, even though substantial evidence says whatever. And it's like, okay, do you believe in it? Okay, whatever, you get it.
No,
this is an audio medium, and I'm like drawing figures in the air. It doesn't.
It was helping me. Okay. If that makes a difference.
It does.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, you're right. That is like what it comes down to. If they're not going to support policies that are like, without a doubt, they're either not, they shouldn't be representing you because they're either not good at interpreting situations or they're corrupt.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're right, Katie, like, your leader shouldn't be not able to process like scientific information, nor should they be so evil that they're just going to dismiss scientific. So I guess that's where I come down, is that that person, if that's what you're debating between, they don't understand or they're just corrupt.
Yeah, they have questionable morals. They don't share your values, and they are unable to represent your values because of their own. And
exactly.
Right. Yeah. Huh. I've never thought about it that way. That was helpful. Well, I'm officially out of questions. Is there anything else that you wanted to mention to the masses? I think did I tell you that your episode is our most listened to episode?
Yes, and I'm very proud of that fact. I told everybody this weekend.
Good.
That
you're famous.
Yes, that's right. I was signing autographs.
You made me famous. No.
Yes, right. You're welcome.
Yeah.
No, I guess just you're hearing it everywhere, but I am confident that these steps that are being taken, they are going to address COVID-19 as long as people are willing for the short-term sacrifice. I mean, we're going to make it to the other side of this, hopefully with as few people passing away as possible. But and I'm confident the people that are listening to you, Katie, are very reasonable, well-meaning people who are observing these. And so just the more people that do, the better off we're going to be at the end of all this.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll get through it. Can we maybe check in with you in like another 3 weeks when it feels like another like 3 months has passed?
Yes, definitely. I look forward to that. And hopefully there's a bunch of good news between now and then.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to share something? We usually end with like some kind of self-care or anything that you've been like reading or watching or listening to, or just even, I mean, I think mine this week is just going to be, I've been going for walks and all the little spring flowers are blooming and I love them.
Yeah, no, that's a really good one. I like seeing, like, I know it sounds kind of weird, but I like watching bees and ants and butterflies, to where just watching them do their work, and at least that's the one sign of spring and that kind of renewal of everything that it's uplifting to, even though we're in the middle of this crisis, that life is going on and spring is here and summer will be here eventually, and it makes me think that there's an end in sight.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. I feel like I have passed into like a new phase of like looking forward into like hopefulness. And I mean, hope still being realistic, but yeah, it just feels better to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much. And we will check in with you in a couple weeks.
I appreciate it, Katie. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye. So thank you, Steve, for joining us. It's always a pleasure. I appreciate you giving your time to us. Okay, so now we will get to the part of the show where we talk about what kind of political actions we're taking this week. You want to go first?
Sure. So I have been feeling very mad about the Wisconsin election and how it should not have happened. Not to mention, so not only should it not have happened because of the pandemic, but even before that, the way that Wisconsin is gerrymandered should be criminal. So I'm just real mad about a whole lot of that. And Wisconsin is a state that I usually like kind of enjoy because it is very close to where I grew up. Mm-hmm. And they have great cheese.
They do.
I have lots of friends in Wisconsin. I can't hate Wisconsinites. So yeah, but I'm really mad about that. So I'm making a donation toward organization that is fighting for like fair elections. Mm-hmm. I love the ACLU, so I'll probably give them some money just because I straight up love them. Mm-hmm. But there are actually a lot of them out there, which makes me feel good, but also frustrated because there are so many great organizations fighting for fair elections, and yet we don't have them still, which is terrifying. I love Fair Fight though, because I'm like in a major Stacey Abrams mood, and so I am like literally signing up to be a volunteer for them like right now. Awesome. And donated to them as well because I love them.
Nice.
And I love Stacey Abrams so much.
I love her too.
She is so great. What are you doing this week?
So I was also mad about the Wisconsin elections. So Wisconsin legislature is Republican owned, and legislature is the only people who have the power to postpone elections. And the governor, Democratic governor in Wisconsin, like asked that the elections be postponed there, and basically got denied. Like his request got denied. And Wisconsin is just like the perfect example of like a perfect storm of like why government doesn't work the way it's supposed to, because Republicans like they play to win. They don't do like the right thing or the wrong. They do whatever's going to benefit them, which is again like a Kevin-like trait.
Yeah, they don't care if people are able to carry out their fundamental right as American citizens and vote, as long as it means that they win. They do not care if people can do that at all, and if they can do it safely, and especially in cities like Milwaukee, which has a larger African American population than pretty much everything else every other city in small town in Wisconsin, and they only had like such a small number of polling locations.
They were
makes
originally
it harder to socially
supposed
distance.
to have 180, and they ended up only having 5.
Yeah.
So that is voter disenfranchisement like in action. And I know that like sometimes the stuff that we say about stuff like that like might sound extreme, but I feel confident saying it because it's a pattern. Like if it was only like here or there, it wouldn't be. But like part of public health and epidemiology is trying to recognize patterns. And like that is a pattern over and over and over again, is like Republicans lie and gaslight about voter fraud, which is a non-issue in the United States. They just pretend that it is so that they're able to commit voter suppression.
Also, the only case of voter fraud that I remember from 2016, so at least like where I was living, was someone who tried to vote for Trump 3 different times. So
yeah, exactly. There's no
hot kettle.
Yeah, there's no evidence that Republicans or Democrats commit voter fraud at higher rates either. They both commit it at astronomically low rates. So basically, it's just a pattern of Republicans wanting less Americans to be able to vote because that results in less Republicans in office. So,
yeah. And especially if they can keep people who are poor from voting, because God forbid the poor people actually get a say in their own elected officials who make an impact on a lot of their lives, and also people of color. Those are their two favorite people to keep from voting.
If they were good people, God would have shown them favor and made them rich.
Yes, that's absolutely how it works.
Oh boy. Okay, so yes.
Anyway.
So Wisconsin was pissing me off also. So I wrote 20 letters to Wisconsin with Vote Forward. I also, this is like not exactly a political action, but I was in possession of 2 N95 masks, one for me and one for my mom, for when I was thinking that I would take her to chemo. But visitors are not allowed to accompany people anymore, which is like for everyone's safety. But that meant that I didn't need my N95 mask. So I went to mask-match.com, and you can submit like what kind of PPE you have, like especially masks. And they prioritize orders of 5 or more of everything, and like I only had 1 mask, so I was like, I didn't really know what to expect, but I just like submitted a couple days ago that's what I had, and then like the next day or the day after, they matched me up with a nurse in Southern Illinois, like way Southern Illinois, and just gave me her address, and I just did like a click and ship thing with the U.S. Postal Service, and my mailman picked it up today, which is really nice of him because I didn't want to have to go to the mail or the post office. But yeah, so that I feel good about that.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, and it's cool that like that exists. Good job, Mask Match. And then I feel like we kind of talk about it, but like getting informed is a form of like political activism. And so like I would say even that like listening to this podcast, like that should count as an hour of like being an engaged citizen.
Yeah, totally. Good job, you.
Yeah, good job, you. We think you're great. But I also started Sarah Kenzier's new book, which just came out, Hiding in Plain Sight, and I'm not like anywhere near done with it, but it is so good.
Okay, we should probably have an FYMI pod book club.
I know.
For that book, because like we're both reading it, and I sent a copy to my mom.
Oh, did you? Cute.
Yeah. So, and like I'm telling a bunch of other people to read it. We should just have a book club. That'd be so fun.
How do we...
I have no idea. I've never been in a book club.
We'll figure it out. Me neither. We'll do some thinking. Send us your feedback about that.
Yeah, somebody who knows how to do a book club.
Help us.
At me.
Yeah, so that's what I've been up to. Pretty good. I don't know, considering the world is ending. I'm giving myself a mini pat on the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thanks.
Good job, everyone.
Yes. Good job making it another week.
We're all doing great.
Yeah.
And if you didn't make it this week, congratulations to you too.
Yeah.
Because you're still valid.
What does that mean? If you
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean,
you're just trying to be supportive?
Yeah.
I get it.
Supportive of people who feel like they're just like not even getting by.
Okay, I got you.
If you haven't brushed your hair in 5 days, that's okay.
I like know it's been an extra bad day if I make it to like 8 p.m. and I haven't brushed my teeth yet, and then I'm like, oh, I'm garbage.
Oh, I love brushing my teeth. I can't do that.
Yeah, I know. I'm not proud of it. I wish this was not a trait of mine, but anyway. Well, what like happy news do you have? What kind of like self-care or something that sparked joy or like a recommendation? What do you got?
Well, also the Sarah Kendzior book.
Nice.
And plus some other books, and things that I just sent to my family members because I miss them. And I'm sad that I won't see them over Easter, especially my little nibblings.
Yeah.
So so that, brings me joy. I guess maybe one of my love languages is giving gifts. I don't know. But then I made falafel last night and I made a really good risotto. And it just made me remember how much I love cooking.
Nice.
And I cook dinner every night, but just basic stuff. I don't usually try anything new or whatever. And I'd never made falafel before, but it's not nearly as hard as I thought it would be.
Does it come from a box?
You can get it from a box, or if you have a really good blender or a food processor, you can still make it at home.
I'm intrigued because I love falafel.
Yeah, and I made mine in an air fryer because if I'm not frying it in oil, it won't be quite as calorie dense.
Right.
Which will help when I eventually have to put real pants on again.
Yeah.
Because I have no self-control, so I was absolutely going to eat 18 falafels.
Yeah.
Just in one sitting, and I did.
Yeah. No, I don't know how else you consume them if not in multiples of 18.
3 probably would have been fine, but go big or go home.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what I say. So what's bringing you joy?
Well, an exciting thing happened here today. Squeaky, the foster cat, came upstairs.
Squeaky, good girl,
I know. It was a lightning flash, but I know she came from the upstairs back down to the downstairs, but she must be getting more comfortable, which I'm so glad about, because she legitimately this whole time that we had her had not seen anything but the basement, and she had the whole basement to herself, but I felt real bad. She let me pet her 2 days ago, but she could see my cat Hazel at the top of the stairs, so she would meow meow, and then she would hiss because she could see Hazel, and then she would make happy kitty noises, and then hiss again because she could see Hazel. But she I don't know, she's cute. I hope she assimilates okay with the cat and dog.
Well, that'll be good though, because when she eventually gets adopted, she'll kind of have learned that other animals aren't necessarily there to kill me.
I hope so.
Oh, I wish I could come over and see her.
Yeah.
I think she sounds wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, she's nice.
Also, okay, so this could be a fun thing to share. What is an arbitrary superpower that you have? Just one of those weird kind of useless things, but that's kind of fun.
I don't know if this is fun. I'm excellent at remembering dates.
Okay. Yeah.
And addresses. I know the date of, if it's a person who's important to me, I probably remember the first day that we met, the date of the first day that we met.
That's impressive, because I can't remember anything. If I don't write down a birthday, I won't remember it. Yeah. That's awful.
I'm pretty good at birthdays too, actually. So when Clark is my boyfriend, who is wonderful. But when we were friends in high school, he was actually my first kiss, which is, I think, a cute story. But
so cute.
I know. But so I had a big crush on him in high school, but then we didn't talk again for 10 years. And when we started talking again, he asked if I remembered his birthday, and I was one day off. His birthday is September 16th, and I was I think it's September 17th. So even after 10 years, somebody who was important to me in high school, I still remembered their birthday. I don't know. What's yours? What do you got?
Okay, so this is why I brought it up, because okay, so this is so bizarre, but for some reason, cats really like it when I sing.
Oh, you've told me this before.
Cats like it when I sing. I'm not a good singer. Humans do not like it when I sing, but cats love it. And sometimes dogs too, depends on the song. My dog gets really upset if I'm singing kind of a sad song.
Aw.
I know. But yeah, cats love it when I sing. It's so weird.
Maybe
I don't know.
you're like part Disney princess.
Maybe. Let's go with that because I like that better than like my voice just has some really terrible quality that sounds like a cat when I sing. And so cats like think I'm talking to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my weird superpower.
I like it.
I'd love to sing to Squeaky.
Yeah, she'd probably hiss at you also, but I don't know what that means yet, really. I don't know. But okay, what we forgot to talk about? The coronavirus stuff.
You know what? How did we forget about coronavirus when it's all anyone is talking about?
Yeah, I know. So we gave you a little bit of an update from Sunday in the interview, but we are actually recording this part of the podcast on Thursday, April 9th. So as of now, there have been 16,636 deaths in the United States from COVID-19. You want to give a little bit of good news?
Yeah. So the good news is that the number of expected deaths has decreased from 1 or 200,000 to 81,000, or possibly even lower, possibly even like 60,000. Yeah. Now, this model is based on social distancing continuing through August, which sounds like a major scary yikes. But that also means that social distancing is working.
Yeah.
Like that means we are effectively like flattening the
curve.
Outcome.
Yeah, for sure.
Like we are saving lives by staying home.
Yeah. And I feel like I'm always pointing this out, but like just because numbers or projections and stuff like that change, that's just because we have better updated data now. So it doesn't mean that we were wrong before. It's just we're like people who are doing the projections are more right now because they're dealing with better, more updated information.
Right. Kind of like a month ago, before anyone was social distancing, there were like 400,000 people could die from this. And then, that was based on the model of where we were at. Then they were like, great, we could only have 100,000 deaths if we shut everything down. Yeah. And now they're like, oh, wow, people, for the most part, we're doing our best for the most part. Some people are not. Shout out to the 50 people in my home state of Iowa who were busted for having a keg party.
Oh, I did not hear about that.
Yeah. So that wasn't great. But even though our governor never did the shelter in place order, she did say that you could be charged with a misdemeanor for ignoring social distancing. So that's good. So that like gives her some bonus points. But but for the most part, people are doing a good job and they're wearing masks out in public now. And it's working. And if it seems like, wow, in the end of this, only 40,000 people die, maybe we didn't need to do this. Yeah. That's still a lot of people.
It's
like
more than 10 9/11s.
Yeah. And also that means that what we've done, these dramatic measures worked. And that's the whole point.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. Also related to COVID-19, though, we do need to talk about fun stuff. The impact of structural racism during a pandemic.
I'm getting so tired of people being like, I just don't understand why it's affecting people of color more. And it's like, why? Why don't you understand? I understand. It's structural racism. Like it's institutional racism. What do you mean you don't understand? We have the answers now. You can't say you don't understand. If you don't understand, you're not paying attention.
Yeah, exactly. Conditions like asthma, diabetes, and heart disease make people more vulnerable to COVID-19. And those conditions disproportionately affect the Black community because of racism. Right? Like racism prevents access to primary care and preventative care. And it's just these systems of inequality in this country mean that Black people are dying at higher rates. They're getting infected at higher rates. It's not because anything genetically
they're not born
African Americans makes them more likely.
Way. But yeah, they experience a lot of microaggressions and trauma and all kinds of things because of factors that are totally out of their control.
Yeah, not to mention, it's also like a whole lot of Black people are your essential workers, your grocery store clerks, and other people who are out there every single day getting exposed not only at work, but on public transportation because their neighborhoods don't have the luxury of having a grocery store. And they're seeking community resources. And like these things all matter a lot. And yeah, it's white people's fault this is happening. And if that makes you uncomfortable, that's good. Because this isn't just a COVID-19 problem. This is an America problem. And it should make us, white people, feel uncomfortable and gross. And in a decent world, this would also be a wake-up call to fix the system disproportionately killing Black people, as it has been for hundreds of years. I mean, forever. But this is America, so, like, we'll see.
Yeah. I keep thinking about Puerto Rico and how, like, the response to that disaster. I mean, I knew at the time that it wasn't adequate, but I didn't understand just how incompetent the response was until now. And I'm not really sure. And, like, now that I can see the coronavirus response, I'm like, oh, I guess it's because, like, I know what a response to a pandemic should look like. I don't really know what a response to a hurricane should look like. I'm not sure. But yeah, I just keep thinking about that. And, yeah. But I don't know how far, if you've even started Sarah Kenzier's book yet, but she does talk about, she says that it's not incompetence, it's malice disguised as incompetence, which actually makes it, like, even worse, like, obviously even, like, further, like, towards the Hitler end of the spectrum.
Because it's just so evil.
Right, it's intentional, and they're trying to, like, play like they're stupid. Like, sorry, that was gross. They're trying to play like they're stupid, but they're not. They're.
I remember being a kid and thinking evil was almost like a joke of a word. Like, it didn't apply to real people. I thought the word evil only applied to comic book characters and Voldemort. And it turns out, like, no, it applies to our president and his entire administration.
Yeah. Yep. Like Sarah Kendzior always says, it's a transnational crime syndicate masquerading as a government. And that's not an exaggeration at all. And you can kind of see now, like, it's just, actually, I watched a video from Naomi Klein last week about disaster capitalism. Like, all of these people, like Trump people, are just looking to exploit this crisis for personal gain. It's a really good, it's a pretty short, like, webinar. I don't know if you've seen it, but if you haven't, I'll send it to you after this. Naomi Klein, Disaster Capitalism, is so good. It was just like she hits the nail on the head. She's really smart. So yeah, I guess those are all our coronavirus updates. I think.
Continue staying inside, everybody. Continue with your social distancing. I know you probably, like, this is going to come out till after Easter, but I hope that if you celebrate Easter in any way, you're still able to, like, find meaning in it, maybe even more meaning in it than you would in a typical year this year. Like, I hope that, you know, while you're staying home, maybe having a Zoom chat over Easter dinner over, like, your ham and your mashed potatoes, that, like, you just take a moment to think about all of the people whose lives will never be the same.
Yeah.
Because of this pandemic. And I'm sorry that sounds super depressing and sad, but like 16,000 people have already died. And, like, we shouldn't just focus on how glad we are that it's not more.
Yeah.
Like, that is still a really big, terrible number of people from something so preventable. And, you know, we as public health people, like, deal with those numbers and larger numbers from preventable causes of death all the time.
That's true.
And that's why we do what we do.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Well, then we will talk to you guys next week. And in the meantime,
everything is awful,
but you can help.
Bye.
Bye. Make sure you follow along on Instagram at FYMI Pod. Shout out to Hope Dye for the podcast art and Kyle Dibdahl for the intro and outro music, and Ben Schlofelt for the audio production.
Please subscribe to this podcast, and if you like it, give us a rating and review. It makes us easier for other people to find us, and the more of us there are, the better. We come out with new episodes every Monday.